now, like a crowd cam. It just like looks out if anybody.
Oh, okay.
Any looky-loos
You can see that there's nobody there.
that there's no one there.
We're out here alone.
Just the two of us. And this is my second interview here, day 2, AIM Expo, Las Vegas. And who do I run into but Damon? Welcome, sir.
Good. How you doing?
I'm doing good. How you
I was preemptively prompting you to ask me the question. I'm doing good.
You're
How
doing
are you?
good?
Yeah.
I'm doing good. You look great. Always a pleasure running into you. So for my fine friends at home, I've known you now for several years. Lots of fun and activities up at the Buffalo Chip. That is your place.
Home base.
Home base.
That's where I grew up. I was born under the main stage.
I can believe it.
During a ZZ Top concert.
Yeah, that makes sense. Well, Phil, our friends at home, give me an introduction on you and a little bit of background.
I'm the president of the Sturgis Buffalo Chip. How I met this guy, I don't exactly remember, but it was probably out at Camp Zero, goofing around on mini bikes or on Triumphs or
something.
Or yeah, is this podcast sponsored by anybody? I should be
not yet.
I should be
sign
name
up.
dropping.
No, you pick and choose as you go. Everybody can play.
And let's see, I've been busy trying to get bands going, put smiles on people's faces all year long. People don't realize that we work for 365 days a year, a team of 20 of us putting together that event.
When, for those that don't know, everybody's probably heard of Sturgis, right? You know, it's this once-a-year event, and it's wild, it's crazy. But what people don't know is actually kind of how it works. Unless you've been there, you don't know that it's a lot of different things going on, and one of those very big things is the Buffalo Chip. So give us kind of an idea of what the Buffalo Chip is and how it relates to Sturgis.
Yeah, the Buffalo Chip is the largest music festival in motorcycling, also known as the best party anywhere. And our mission is to put happy smiling faces on otherwise plain boring heads. Not really. Our real mission is to put on the best party anywhere for the nicest people on the planet. And that happens to be base motorcycle culture.
Yeah. When the Buffalo Chip actually isn't in Sturgis.
The Buffalo Chip is outside of the city's limits of Sturgis, and a lot of people don't know that as well.
They don't know that, yeah.
Yeah, there's a little bit of a history with Sturgis. It was started in 1938, took a couple years off during World War II. It was started by the Jack Pine Gypsies, and let's see, somewhere along the line, the town decided they didn't really want the rally and the riffraff, and they made it kind of hard to come into town, so the Buffalo Chip threw down a patch of land outside of town and threw a party and said, "Come on out here, we'll have fun."
What year was that happening?
That was in 1981.
1981, and that was with your pops.
Yep.
So who's your father?
So my father's Rod Woodruff. He founded the Sturgis Buffalo Chip, 81, amongst quite a bit of public outcry and angst, and somehow made it through 45 years.
Yeah, Rod didn't care. He goes, whatever.
Yeah. Well, I don't know about not caring, but he has a stubborn head.
Yeah.
Might be slightly autistic, too. I'm not sure.
Just like his boy. Well, so what I've seen and how I've participated at the Buffalo Chip over the years is, so you go to Sturgis and you very quickly realize, all right, so here's like your main strip. Here's like Lizelle. Here's all these things. And a lot of, bars, and you can just crisscross, walk around, see the sights and sounds. But then very quickly you want to hit the road, and then you start working your way outside, just kind of like a cat circles out from home base, and you find places like the Chip along the way. And so it kind of serves as just like a, you go out, you come back, you go out, and it's one of those places. And now, arguably, it is the place to go. It's not that you're staying in Sturgis and visiting the Chip, it's that you're staying at the Chip, and then you go check out Sturgis or whatever, because it is such a huge thing. Like, you guys cover so many bases at that spot.
Yeah, it's a little over 1.25 square miles.
Yeah, it's huge.
And it becomes a little city for those 14 days.
And then you guys got the whole staff, you got the whole city council, you got the cowboy hats running wild.
Tell us about it. Have you had any run-ins?
Well, so there's some fine folks that wear the cowboy hats, and they keep the law of the land. Because the cops aren't invited to the Buffalo Chip, but they maintain their own law. And they do a great job.
That's true. And there's a bit of history with the Cowboys, actually. In the early 80s, we had a cowboy and his crew named Coon Dog.
The Coon Dogs.
Coon Dog would ride his horse out
and
with his buddies from Wyoming, spend 3 days coming out, and they'd do our security around the perimeter on horseback. And they'd just stick cotton balls and actually tampons in the horse's ears
Yeah.
from the noise, protect them from the noise. So that tradition of cowboys, now they're on four-wheelers.
Yep.
They're not on horses, but that tradition of cowboys has persisted for 45 years.
Well, it's funny because it's like a really healthy dichotomy of a certain amount of lawlessness while at the same time being like very strict rules. And it's like as long as you can play within those lines, everybody's happy.
If it's not against the law, it's kind of fair game.
Yeah.
And I think that's really the idea and concept behind freedom, other than risk-taking. But you have the freedom to not be confined by social norms, social parameters.
Yeah.
And one of the nice things that you go out and experience out there and is you can find yourself and your people.
There's something for everyone at that place. Yeah, you can I don't know if you're still doing it. You can go bowling. You can go bowling with
Midget bowling?
Midget bowling, little person bowling, as it's
Excuse
properly.
me.
Yeah.
Yes.
You get tattoos. You go shopping. They got all sorts of vendors and crafts people. You can go shooting. You got shooting ranges. You can go tons of demos. Ride all the bikes. But literally every type of person is represented there. All the colors of the rainbow, and you got your gypsies out there, you got your very standard fare, but it's a hoot and time. And then so moving forward, you kind of expanded now even across the street with Camp Zero. Tell us what Camp Zero is about.
Do you remember your first time there?
At the Buffalo Chip or
Yeah.
Zero?
Yeah, either.
So I've heard stories, but if I recall correctly, I was shooting for Indian, I want to say, and we had done all the things, and it was like I don't know if it was partnered with Rolling Sands or somebody else, but when we had come back to the Chip for a show, and that was my first time kind of really taking it. I'm like, oh, holy shit, this is like a thing, and then things got a little blurry.
Did you have any preconceived ideas of what Sturgis or the Buffalo Chip would be before you got
I
there?
think I had a very common idea of what Sturgis was, and it's what it's a biker rally. But then now having been back, and then especially the way that I experienced Sturgis, which I feel is from my own perspective, I get to hang out in a different way, I suppose, from behind a lens and looking at it in an artistic way. It's so much more and just so dynamic. There really is so much to do. And so specific to the Buffalo Chip, I didn't realize, one, the size and scale, but then two, the level of concerts and shows you guys put. It's not like you're having like the tribute cover bands come on. It's like an actual like I think we have Snoop Dogg one year, like Kid Rock's been there. We had Rob Zombie, that was a great one. I've seen a ton of folks, but like it's like a big, legit, full-size concert arena, but then just everything that happens, it's like a freaking coon dog's playground, man. We're having a great time.
Yeah, it's true. I asked about stereotypes because I think it's just really difficult to explain, well, for one, motorcycle culture or motor culture to anybody that hasn't been there, but also Sturgis on top of that. You come into life a lot of times hearing stories and you formulate an opinion what it might be before you ever get there. And when you actually get there, you're a little bit blown away that it didn't actually meet the stereotypes.
Yeah.
So I was just curious if you had any cathartic moment or epiphany such as that.
Probably multiple. But then it was exciting too, hanging out with guys like Brady and Rhett and all of them as Camp Zero started.
Yeah.
That Buffalo Chip checks a lot of boxes for a lot of folks, but then there was just an element that we're like, all right, I think we want to push the boundary just a little bit further, and then Camp Zero became.
Well, yeah, and that became. There has been a bit of criticism about what's going to happen to motorcycle culture when the baby boomers die, and there's not going to really be anything there for them. And what we were starting to hear were some complaints from some of the younger generation that there was no place for them in Sturgis. And I kind of looked around at my friends and I said, that's kind of a bullshit excuse.
Yeah.
Like, if you want to have a good time and make a space for yourself and your group, you just do it. You invite your friends and you throw a party how you want to throw a party. And there's space to do that. You can't tell me that you're at the largest music festival in motorcycling with the largest gathering of music and motorcycle enthusiasts in the world, and you can't find your people. So what we did was we said, well, we need to set the mood, put on the candle lights in the form of
describe what we're seeing here at Camp Zero.
we had to light the candles, but they're really Roman candles. We set up my buddy Cosmo underneath the ramp, and he held up the ramp as we jumped over each other. That was
There's
the
big
very
walls of beer,
first beginning.
rings of fire.
Yes, the wall of beer started because I thought, well, it's been done since 1938 that Pappy Hoyle bashed through a wall of fire.
Yeah.
But what hasn't anybody done?
Just a wall of beer.
Was sitting around watching a Red Fang commercial, and those guys had plowed through a crate of milk, right, in a station wagon. And I thought, well, what if we smashed through a wall of beer?
Yeah.
And so we goofed around. We built a battering ram on a mini bike. I was going to do it on my Ducati. Thank God I didn't. Because when I smashed through the wall of 2,400 cans of beer with that little mini bike, the impact at 33 miles an hour was enough that it shoved the wheel, bent the frame, shoved the wheel back into the
that's not just like a wall of liquid beer. That's just a wall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, long story short was set the mood, invite your friends, throw a party out. You want to have a party. Don't give some bullshit excuse that there's nothing there for you.
Yeah.
You just make your scene. That's what Camp Zero started, ground zero. It's the starting point, the jump-off point of all things.
All things. You got hill climbs. You got, what is that massive mechanical dick?
Yeah, there's the thing we shall not talk about, the magnificent member.
The magnificent member, yeah. Too late, been mentioned. I'll post a photo. But
it's actually in our marketing to not include that.
Is it really?
Yeah.
We'll
there's
not
a
omit
giant mechanical member.
Yeah.
There's a hell track for running mini bikes around. There's a hill climb. There's drags with the Sportster Showdown.
Well, and the cool thing is people come in, they camp, they trailer, any number of things to stay, but then with the chip, you have the luxury of a fine facility for bathrooms. Like, you guys have a great staff in that sense as well, that, it's not the dirty biker all the time. Like, Danger Dan may show up and camp somewhere over there and we'll smell him. But if you like, you can go shower and clean up.
Yeah.
And it's always an affair in that sense as well. But I'm always stoked to be there. I have a great time.
Good. When was the last time you were there? Were you there last year?
So generally I go out and I shoot for BMW, and we'll come and I make sure we hit the chip, because I always like everything you have there for just kind of an aesthetic and a scene. But this last year they didn't go, so then I didn't go. So that would have been, I guess, 2 years ago I was there.
Okay.
Yeah. But I came up with a camper van. What are they called? I forget what they're called, but me and Meg drove from Atlanta all the way up with dogs and everything like that, and we stayed back over there. We had a great time.
What would you say to somebody that had never been?
Dude, go. I mean, it's a thing. It's an iconic experience, and to have an idea in your head does not do it justice. And so it's just it's not that you need to go every year. I mean, you could, but like, it's definitely something you got to see firsthand, experience. But then it really does have enough for everybody that, like, bring the old lady, bring your kids. There's a ton of kids around. And I'd
feral
say
kids,
feral kids. But so what's the future hold for the chip in Sturgis? Like, what year are we at?
This will be our 44th year.
Yeah.
And the 85th anniversary of the Sturgis Rally.
This is coming up?
Yep, and then 2026 will be the 45th anniversary of the chip. And, I think the challenge, and I was speaking with you earlier, is always to remain relevant.
Yeah.
And that requires change. And not everybody likes change. I mean,
change is scary, man.
Yeah, I mean, it's such a hateful thing.
It's
you
inevitable,
can just hate on it. You can,
yeah.
I hate it. But what we do is you have to, in order to have a good time, you got to be willing to be dynamic and problem solve. And so the future holds for the chip is just to remain dynamic and change. Not 180 degrees, but you got to move with the times.
Yeah, absolutely.
And if you don't do that, you're just turning into a wrinkled up pile of skin waiting to die.
Well, and are you doing that in concert with Sturgis overall? Like, do you and the city have good relations? Like, hey, what do you guys got planned for this year? Or is it like pretty?
Yeah, the city, I mean, the rally itself is really made up by hundreds of promoters that are all trying to create their own experience
Right.
out there, which is why it extends throughout the entire Black Hills now. It's not just a small nucleus event, but we don't, everybody does their own thing, and that's kind of the magic and beauty of it. In 2020, the city threatened to not support the rally. Everybody else in the community said, well, we're going to be open and we're going to continue to throw events. And so you guys will be the lone wolf out. And so they eventually voted in favor of supporting municipal services for the rally. But I think that's kind of, you don't have to work together.
Yeah.
Because you get a movement happening that
It's happening
people
either way.
love.
Yeah.
They're going to come no matter what. And I think COVID year proved that.
Yeah. Well, and I was actually there that year. And motorcycles is unique, at least specific to COVID, because it's an individual activity. Like, granted, there are a lot of activities at Sturgis where people are in commune, but more often than not, you got hey, you're on camera too, right there. Look at this guy.
Oh, we got an audience.
That's her right there. We're rolling. Hey, yeah, I'll have you over here next. I'll have you over here next.
Hop on up here.
Yeah.
We'll just swap in.
Yeah, do the quick change like NASCAR.
Yeah.
But that year for 2020, what I saw, with motorcycling, it was just that. It was your own unique experience where you could just throw the helmet on, and if you're talking about social distancing, hop on a friggin' bike, put a helmet on, and fuck off. And so it was just this weird kind of like, super spreader event, but it's like, yo, we're all doing our own thing. Like, chill out. But I thought it was grand success. I had a great time.
Yeah, I mean, riding is such a solitary experience, and it's really the human connection that brings us back together after that solitary experience, and that's the gathering point. You can't remove that from humanity. There is no removing the desire to be together and have real human connection. So I think we discovered that even in the midst of a pandemic, you can gather safely in outdoor environments, especially when you're riding motorcycles.
It's good to go, man.
Yeah.
Well, I know I was already talking to Miss Yazdi again.
Yeah.
I actually
Is she here?
She's not here, but we had a conversation that we will then talk about when I'm allowed to. But we're already talking about the chip again, man. And so it's I think that was additionally too. I think actually the very first time I went to the chip was for the Gypsy Tour.
Probably.
Their first year was my first year, I think.
So you were taking photos for
I was
the Wild
shooting.
Gypsy.
That was it. Yeah, it was
which
the one
later
male.
became Ride Wild Code.
That's right. It grew up, but I think that was like 9 years ago.
Yeah, probably. 9 or 10 years ago.
Jeez, little spring chickens, guys. Look at us. Well, I know specifically just bumping into you over there. There is something coming up, not specific to Sturgis. What is going on the horizon?
A lot of people don't know. In
Tell us.
Mid-July, we do a Get On Adventure Fest that we partner with Rever and Revzilla, and we have 7 of the major OEMs, BMW, Triumph, Yamaha, Suzuki. Can I make it through Harley Davidson?
Indian.
All of the ADV,
all of them.
CF Moto.
They're moving a lot of weight this year.
And we, for 3 or 4 days, go riding through the hills, the Black Hills. People don't realize there are thousands of backcountry trails that are in the Black Hills, not just street riding here. And BDR came out and unveiled a BDR through the Black Hills during the Get On Adventure Fest 2 years ago. This will be the 4th year that we've done the Get On Adventure Fest, and it's a fun time. It's real riders there for real riding. It's not a party scene. Most people probably closing their eyes by 10 o'clock, getting up early, 6 o'clock, and hitting the trail. Yeah.
Well, and have you seen a lot of transition into that ADV culture for even like a Sturgis? It's like it's not just like baggers and trikes. It's like
definitely growing.
Yeah.
It's, I think, of the hottest segment.
Yeah.
Growing segment right now. So if you're curious about it, you can show up at some of these events. There's a few of them that are popping up like ours, but show up at the Get On Adventure Fest, you can meet up with your group of beginner, intermediate, or more experienced riders and just go out and learn from each other and have a good time and get muddy.
I love it. I love getting muddy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, shoot, you heard it here. Not probably first, but Get On It Fest coming up in July
17th.
We got Damon here. Always a pleasure talking to him. Always fun hanging out. And maybe or maybe not, I will see you on the mechanical apparatus that is the great, what is it, the magnificent member?
Can we get you to come parade through it's now a Monster Wall. Monster Energy sponsored it.
100%.
It was once Beer Wool, but I need to get Sam.
Yeah, can we light it on fire too?
Can we?
Sure.
With diesel and toilet paper rolls?
Why not, dude? I got the gel. I got the gel, dude. I've been on the stunt scene here in Atlanta.
Oh,
yeah,
yes.
I'll come prepared. I'll come prepared. Yeah, but I look forward to it. Always a pleasure, dude. Appreciate your time.
Thanks.
And so this is your time. I know we've been talking about a few things, but to that camera right there, you can anything you want to bring special attention to, shout out, whatever. Hit it.
Come have the best party anywhere at the Sturgis Buffalo Chip this summer, August
Something.
1st through the 10th.
Dude, it's my birthday is always the 11th. Obviously, my birthday is the 11th. It's always the 11th. But I've done my birthday at the Chip for like 7 years. I got tattoos everywhere from every birthday I come to, so it'll probably be again. Yeah. Well, we'll see you there. Hell yeah,
Thanks.
dude.